Today I'm going to talk about 7 great Wes Montgomery phrases that will teach you how to master jazz guitar. Let's start off with the very first one, which is how to start your solo. It's a question I get a lot inside Chase's Guitar Academy. How do we develop a solo? And Wes has a great answer. Just listen to any of these Wes solos. Today we're focused on this one from Caravan, where he's playing on Caravan, and he plays this great opening phrase. So just in this very simple opening statement, Wes teaches us a whole lot. The first thing is we start simply. He's not playing a whole bunch of eighth note lines. And in fact, he's using a lot of repetition on a single note. And that note's important. We're playing over this pedal C7. And Wes is really emphasizing a specific note, which in this case is the 9th. So he starts off with that 9th, he goes away from it, and comes back to it. So it really emphasizes the sound of that note over the chord. And that's something a lot of beginners do not do, beginners and intermediate players. You play all up and down once you hit that chord, especially at the start of the solo. And here Wes is saying, look, this 9th, I really want to emphasize the sound of that, and he's gonna build off of that. The last thing about this is that he's using just 3 notes. And I talk about this with the essential jazz patterns, but just having these very simple 3-note cells to begin with is a very good way to just start building a melodic idea. So just in this case, D, E, and A over C7. He's not thinking about the whole scale, not even playing an arpeggio, just 3 notes that work over that chord. The second lick here from Wes is going to teach us how to phrase. Another problem I see all over is playing a solo where you just really go back and forth in this tiny little movement, just a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit down. And what great jazz soloists do is they have much more arc. It's part of what makes it so much more dynamic when you listen to them. They go up and then they come back down. They go back up. There's a lot of range to what they're playing. So check out this phrase from Wes and we'll kind of isolate how it's happening. So notice with this phrase, he's starting in the middle range, middle couple of strings of the guitar. He gets up to that G. So basically starting around G with that lead in, gets up to the G, starts coming back down, gets back to the G. So he went up and then came back, and now he's gonna keep going lower to the low G. So all of this structure, he has like an outline for this whole idea over the C7. This here to this, to this, to back. So he's thinking in these simple terms, and he can see that because he's practiced the other patterns that allow him to get through playing this line. He's not just playing single notes, but he knows, oh, if I need to get to that G, he can play some of these essential jazz pattern combinations to get up to that G, and again, he knows how to get down. But when improvising, it simplifies it a lot where he can just focus on certain notes that are the structure, the outline. Just like a great speaker can focus on key talking points, and they're not thinking about necessarily every single word in between that they have to say. This third phrase teaches us how to create ideas. How do we create longer musical phrases? And it's this idea of same, different. There's a cool example here from Wes. So in this phrase, he's doing this idea of this augmented triad, B flat augmented. He's going to do that again. That's the same. And then the third idea, we expect as the listener, because he's setting up this pattern, we expect it to happen again, but that's when he changes it. And it works very well leading into a resolution. So he's doing C7, he's creating this tension with the repetition. And then ending and resolving. So in this fourth phrase, Wes shows us exactly how we can take some of the material we've already played and use it again in a little bit different way. Now, different guys have different approaches to this. Grant Green will use somewhat of the exact same lick, and Wes takes more of the idea of the general shape and direction that he was going for, with some components played exactly the same. So here's this fourth phrase. So hopefully you recognize that ending part that we just had in the previous phrase, but he doesn't play it exactly. He starts off the same, and we want it to go to F. We're expecting it to go to F, but then he changes it. So even on this big phrase level, he's doing a similar phrase, but making it different. He does this enclosure to D, C, F, F, and finally we get that resolution to F. That also mimics the earlier phrase we did where he's getting down low to the low G, right? But now to F. So what I want you guys to learn from that is once you've found good pathways, good ways to move through a certain chord, don't forget those. Really, really work on those. The best jazz musicians practice and find those great ways of getting through the chord changes, and they stick with those. You want to learn how to reuse those over and over again and just create slight variations. Now let's talk about how you can build a line for every chord. And it's coming from this phrase Wes plays over E flat 7. Let me play it for you. So let's dig into this E flat 7 phrase. So what I want you guys to understand is that when we have a certain line or we have a certain phrase, we want to be able to identify the chord that fits over in that same place on the fretboard. So with this phrase, it starts on C, and it gets up to this C. It's like this E flat 13 right here. And notice how we really start on this C, and at the high point we have a C. Kind of reminds me of the Wes octaves, that he's visualizing this octave, C to C. And from that structure, he has an idea that gets him through that plays over this E flat 13. Now, he adds in a little variation there. To play around with that idea. But it also is very, very similar to the phrase he did over C7 down here. Check this out. That very first phrase we looked at has almost the exact same shape. So E flat 7, or for the C7, he doesn't start on A, he started on F sharp, but very similar. That same enclosure. So Wes is reusing these ideas and shapes all over the place. And once he has a good one for a certain chord shape, he's using it, slight variations, but the same idea from where he starts and where he goes at the top, that stays the same. The next thing Wes teaches us here is how to play over major chords. And this one's really important because a lot of times people will either just default to major scale, major 7 arpeggio. And honestly, a lot of times we don't see either of those options when great jazz players are playing over major 7 chords. Instead, we see a lot of focus just between the root and the 5th. And Wes does that in this phrase. So he's playing over this E flat. Let me play it for you. So coming off of that phrase, he's starting on the 5th. He gets to the 4th, a note we're told over and over again not to play. He plays it on a downbeat no less. Then gets to the 3rd. And then he does play that major 7th, but not in a way that we usually get shown as far as an arpeggio, like ending with that as the top. He's using it more like a chromatic lead-in. Like he's thinking of this arpeggio of A flat and just happens to go back down to lead back to the root. So there is a difference, even though it's the same note. We're not playing it at the top of an arpeggio. He's using it to go down and up. Now, of course, Wes played a lot of arpeggios, and he'll play 2-octave arpeggios and even more. But in this context, when we want to play a simple major idea, you stick with this little 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 3, 2, 1. Get down to the 7th. And then the last little bit about this, what we saw him do is add in chromaticism between the 5th and the 3rd. So this. Just adding in the chromatic notes, ascending or descending there, will add a lot of flavor without going too far out over a major chord. If you guys are interested in Wes Montgomery, if you want to learn more from this solo right now in Chase Guitar Academy, we are going to work on the song Caravan and look at Wes's solo. We'll dig into more phrases that I'm not showing you here. We also have a whole Play Like Wes masterclass series with Tim Fitzgerald inside. You can check that out as well. And we have phrases from Wes, a ton of phrases from Wes inside the Jazz phrase system. So all those links are down below. You can check those out. Now our last phrase is going to be how to use rhythm to end your solo. We talked about how to start your solo, and ending your solo is just as important, if not more important. That's what people remember. And Wes has a very simple formula here that I think you can use. It's using rhythm for ending your solo, using the rhythmic element really no matter what you play. And so Wes ends this solo with the kind of climax part of his solo is taking a very simple phrase, this arpeggio we'll look at, and just varying the rhythm, repeating it and playing with the rhythm. It's very interactive. It's very good for getting the rhythm section involved as well. So let's listen to what this sounds like.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so this very simply is this G minor 7 arpeggio where he slides down afterward. And I talk about this with some of the Benson videos. Benson definitely got this from Wes, of the slip and slide arpeggio, I call it. So slip down here, and then we jump up to this C. Keep your thumb locked in and get that movement. And even if you're doing it with the pick, but listen to how warm it sounds like with the thumb. Okay, so that's the first phrase. That's like the call, and then we're going to do the response. He does this idea. A, F, D, G. It's just like a pentatonic. You can do it there as well. So we have one idea, idea A, and then idea B. And they come sequentially. It's A, then it's B, A, then B. But what he does is he breaks up how much space is in between each of these phrases. Sometimes it's immediate. So you're playing with it and you're just feeling out how the next phrase should hit based on what the rhythm section's doing. It's not pre-planned in that way. If you guys dig this lesson, I have more lessons on Wes Montgomery, lessons on George Benson you would also dig, so check those out here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know in the comments if you dig this, hit subscribe, like, do all those things. Let's just jam to Caravan.